Hey everyone, this is Elenbaas from Nightlight Astrology. Today we are going to take a look at this weekend's upcoming new moon in the sign of Sagittarius. I'm going to give you some thoughts about the cycle ahead, given the opening signature of this new moon. We're going to take a look at some of the secret rulership dynamics or the dignities behind the new moon. I always think that's a good idea, especially in a case like this where we have a lot of planets all getting together in the sign of Sagittarius at the time of the new moon. That makes Jupiter the ruler of the new moon, and there's actually a lot happening as the cycle unfolds between a lot of planets in the sign of Capricorn and Jupiter in the sign of Cancer. So that becomes central to the lunation and understanding it. We're going to unpack all of that today, give you a sense of what this next moon cycle has in store for us. I hope that this will be useful as always, but before we get into it, remember to like and subscribe. We've done research and it has shown us that a lot of people watch that are not yet subscribed. So if that's you, take a second to click the subscribe button. It really helps us grow and we deeply appreciate it. You can find transcripts of any of these daily talks, of course, on the website, which is nightlightastrology.com. Right now, we are in the closing 2 weeks, just 14 days left or so in our annual Kickstarter campaign. Our goal this year is to get to 2,043 backers by New Year's Eve. We have a long way to go. At the time that I'm recording this, we still need 1,000 backers. That's a lot. So we need everyone to pitch in and help us get to that goal. When you go over to the Kickstarter campaign, you'll find the link pinned to the top of the comments section or in the description of this video. You're going to go over to the Kickstarter and you'll see that when you scroll down on the right-hand side, there are a variety of rewards you can choose when you donate. At the end of today's talk, after I sign off, there's a video where I explain all of the rewards. So if you want to know more about them, you can stick around and hear me talk about your options for buying a reward through the Kickstarter, maybe gifting it to someone. The best deal are really our class passes, where our courses that you can take at Nightlight, 4 years worth of curriculum, 2 yearly courses that are new every year. All of those programs you can get class passes for that take the savings on the courses from 50% all the way up to 70% if you get a 4-class bundle. So those are our best deals of the year. We only run this sale once a year really to support the channel and all of the need-based tuition that we offer through the school. It's all supported through your generosity at this time of year. So we really appreciate it, appreciate your help. I ask people at this time of year to consider a few things. One, throughout the year, is this a place that you come to not just to get astrological information, but to learn something new about astrology? If you frequently find yourself going, I'm learning new astrology here, that's intentional. I try to bake into everything I create some educational content and curriculums. It's like you're learning while you're here about astrology in addition to getting your forecasts. 2, do you find this a place of spiritual inspiration or companionship and community? The stories, the jokes, the little anecdotes I tell about being a dad, all of this stuff is really curated on my part to make it feel like a warm experience where you're receiving your astrology in a way that feels really personal. So if you identify with that, you like this channel because of it, please consider supporting us. $5 donation, $10 donation. Also, someone mentioned recently, the pledges don't come out until January 1st. You can pledge now. Your card isn't charged until the Kickstarter is over the 1st, 2nd of January. Right about that time is when they actually charge the cards for the pledge that you make. So thank you so much. And let's now turn our attention to the real-time clock. So here we go. We're sitting here in the middle of the week, and a couple of reminders. One is on Friday, I'm doing a live stream. In that live stream, we're going to be covering Venus's square to Saturn, which is often a very powerful transit within relationship dynamics. We're going to talk a lot about that and do some horoscopes and a Q&A Friday morning. That's 10 a.m. Central Time, 11 a.m. Eastern. So you can catch me live at that time talking about Venus-Saturn. Earlier this week, we talked about the Sun-Saturn. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about the Sun-Neptune because Sun will be moving through a square to Neptune. Today, what I want to do is jump ahead a little bit and talk about this weekend's new moon. There's a lot to cover in this kind of little Sagittarius lineup that we have. And the new moon will be coming through Friday evening. So it was kind of a choice for me. Do we talk about the new moon Friday? Do we talk about Venus-Saturn? I think Venus-Saturn is probably where most people's heads and hearts will be at. But the new moon is also a big event happening this weekend. So we're going to cover it today. prep you for it, give you some sense of what the cycle ahead entails given the big signatures. Now, if you watch my channel a lot, you know that we're not just going to talk about Sagittarius. That would be like one level deep. What we really want to do when analyzing a new moon is talk about the signature at the time of the new moon in the larger context of what's happening in the sky through exploration of dignities and so on and so forth. Well, here is the simplest way of talking about what this new moon is all about. First of all, it is a new moon in Sagittarius, which is Jupiter ruled. Now, one thing you can do that I recommend everyone do for every new moon is simply look at the house that the new moon lands in, the whole sign house of your birth chart. The topics of that house will be the seeding point of the cycle ahead, which means you can track the cycle in terms of its starting point in this house. Everything about the cycle ahead will be taking place in some ways, starting from the seeds in the whole sign house of Sagittarius. So given that there's been so much activity in this house, the squares between this house and the whole sign house of Pisces in your chart would be worth reconnecting with right now. In fact, at the beginning of the month, given the major amount of squares happening between these two houses, our horoscopes for December were really just an exploration of the multiple squares across Sag and Pisces. So here we are again with the new moon in Sagittarius, really calling our attention to that whole sign house of Sagittarius. Now, in addition to this, we have Mercury, Venus, and the new moon taking place in Sagittarius, which is the home of Jupiter. Jupiter is in its own bound and exalted, however, retrograde in the sign of Cancer. This is important because we're going to see that as the cycle progresses, all of these planets you see in this lineup, including Mars and Capricorn, are going to go through a major opposition to Jupiter, which peaks at the time of the full moon. So let's watch as this unfolds. I'm going to take this forward. We're going to go past the new moon. Sun enters Capricorn. Venus enters Capricorn. Soon enough, Mercury will enter Capricorn. And then we get the moon into Cancer, and we're coming into the time of the full moon. Now, as the full moon unfolds, let's just track this forward by some hours, get the full moon in effect here. Now, at this time, what I want you to notice is that all of these planets are going through their cazimi. So their synodic reset, in other words, with the sun. This is the conjunction that the sun is having with Venus at this time. We're going to pull this forward another day. Day after the full moon, Venus is cazimi, resetting herself. Going on a couple more days, we see that the sun will then get onto the same degree as Mars just a few days later after the full moon. And that synodic reset continues. Then you see all three of them are triple conjoined, right? And we have kind of this dance of cazimi still taking place. Then they're all triple conjoined on January 8th. But now they are all within 3 degrees of an opposition to Jupiter. And remember, Jupiter was the ruling planet of this lunation cycle. So here we have a whole bunch of planets moving through an opposition, the very well dignified but retrograde Jupiter in the middle of the cycle from full moon through last quarter. This is really the harvesting or fruiting of the lunation cycle. And you can see how Jupiter's just smack dab, like right in the middle of it all. We're going to talk more about this in a second. I'm going to try to break it down practically. First, I just want to show you the technical side of it. Now, that opposition will come through as all 3 planets remain pretty much exactly conjoined right around January 10th and 11th. Now, of course, we're going to be covering this on the channel in depth. So if you're thinking, gosh, I'll need a reminder about this, we've got you covered. Don't worry, we'll be back here looking at it for sure. But then as the planets pass through, then Mercury is going to get involved with the opposition, and that's under the next dark moon. So in other words, from the start of this cycle through the end, the major series of aspects in the sky during the cycle that define the texture and shape and heart of the cycle are all oppositions to the host of the cycle, Jupiter. That means that the Capricorn-Cancer axis is right at the heart of the entire lunation cycle, and that in turn is going to give us some very practical delineations, which is where we're going to head next. So what does all of this mean practically? Well, there are 5 things that I have for us to watch for, as always. And let me just, I have, as I go through, I have a webinar tomorrow night. We have a solstice meeting on the weekend. I'm going to plug those things as we go, just kind of insert them along the way. Let's get into it though. Number one is that first of all, when Jupiter is the ruler of an entire lunation cycle and it starts off in Sagittarius, you can almost bet that things like the shaping, refining, developing of your beliefs will be a part of the cycle. Jupiter, broadly speaking, represents our beliefs and how they guide us, our convictions, ideological, spiritual, moral, philosophical, and how they're evolving or changing. Well, when we have Jupiter in the sign of Cancer, as the host of that exploration of wisdom, philosophy, belief, frequently what we're exploring are emotional attachments. Nowadays, it's become really popular to talk about attachment styles. Let's break it down philosophically. Let's take it out of modern psychological context and put it into ancient mystical philosophical context. To be alive means to be in relationship, because the cosmos is an interdependent, according to the Buddhists, independent, or is a interdependent, co-arising, kind of contingent, ongoing, unending phenomenon. It's like saying reality is a giant ecosystem and everything is affecting everything else simultaneously as everything co-arises. That means you're embedded in relationships. You can't not be in relationships. But one of the hallmarks of being in relationship is holding the tension between your own individual nature, your own individual boundaries, space, definition, character, and the reality of others that you are embedded in reality alongside of. And so it's always been, for thousands of years, all mystical philosophical traditions have talked about the dance of independence and dependence. To deny our dependent existence and pretend like we live in vacuums of, personal strength and independence and individuality would be to ignore the relational nature of our lives. And so we don't want to do that. And Cancer is frequently, along the Cancer Capricorn axis, Cancer is often the wisdom of what it means to be nurtured and to nurture, to foster healthy, positive emotional attachment, that it's natural, necessary, beautiful to live a whole, healthy, integrated, even spiritual life, that we are compassionate beings that seek emotional connection and warmth and love with each other. So a cycle that features Jupiter in Cancer exalted in its own bound and retrograde may be asking us to reflect upon our emotional attachments, our emotional attachment style, the need for more healthy attachments, the need to deepen in them, to become more vulnerable, to become wiser emotionally. At the same time, we also know that unhealthy attachment styles often result from not being able to stand on our own 2 feet. This is a common Capricorn Cancer dialogue, that if you are overly, if you kind of can't, I was talking the other day on a live stream about my daughter and her like troubles sleeping at night, kind of it's like a struggle to like be okay on your own. And we're, as parents, here's my Capricorn moon and my Cancer sun, having it out within myself about her fake crying. You remember that story I told? And then the wind fake cried and called me out of bed. And man, that was such a beautiful story. But it was really a very Cancer Capricorn story. And not surprisingly, Jupiter and Cancer's on my sun right now, opposite my moon in Capricorn. And so, like, what does it mean to be independent and to be able to stand on your own, to be resilient emotionally? Because people will disappoint us and we can't invest or we can't define all of our happiness or our well-being according to our attachments or bonds with others, because that means that we leave ourselves vulnerable to being completely defined internally by the external. We don't want that. We at the same time, again, like, to ignore that we are emotional beings is to ignore the cry of my daughter, even if it is a little fake. She needs help. She needs care and attention as she's making that transition to becoming more important. So like that's the tension of Capricorn Cancer. My story the other day was so embarrassing, but but it's so insightful for me personally. I learned so much from that, and just another moment of learning to hold that tension that we're all learning to hold. So a cycle ruled by Jupiter like this in Cancer with so many oppositions from Capricorn is really about the age old, way before attachment styles were ever a thing. There's simply, I'm a relational being. Attachment is normal, necessary, and healthy. But how does that look secure? How does emotional attachment look healthy? There is a very real sense in which I can't live without you, and you can't live without me. As human beings, we need each other. To admit that is strong. To admit that is healthy. You know, it's as honest a recognition as the fact that we can't live without the nourishment of Mother Earth. You know, on the other hand, we do have to be independent, emotionally strong. Secure attachment comes from also being secure in ourselves. You see how that dynamic could be such an important part of the growing, developing wisdom of this cycle. So watch for that. Number two would be just practical advice. Really look at the Capricorn Cancer axis. We're going to be doing horoscopes as these oppositions come through, and we'll explore those in horoscopes. But you could really take some time right now. Look at the whole sign. You're using whole sign for horoscopes. So you also, if you use the whole sign version of your birth chart, not a problem already. You got it. But look at that whole sign Cap Cancer axis in your chart. The topics of those two houses are going to be in such a dialogue this month. This cycle, although it starts in Sag, most of the cycle takes place between the ruler of the new moon, Jupiter, and all of these planets opposing in Capricorn. And remember, those planets in Capricorn are going through a reset, which reflects a whole new cycle of growth and wisdom in the Capricorn part of our lives, so to speak. So, you know, there's a wisdom in both directions. Even though Jupiter in Cancer is the ruler, sometimes Jupiter in Cancer, especially when it's retrograde, needs to revise or rethink what it means to be emotionally wise or strong, or what healthy attachment looks like. Capricorn can provide a lot of wisdom in that respect, because there are parts of life where it's like you have to be a little rugged. You have to be grounded and strong and well-boundaried and self-sufficient. You have to be tough and resilient in spirit. You know, you have to have a spirit that's seen some winters, in Capricorn's language. So if we have that and we also have sweetness, I think that's probably the kind of balance we're looking to strike this month. But watch for the topics of Capricorn Cancer in your chart with the houses to be activated. All right. Well, I want to tell you briefly before we go on in our list about our winter solstice event this Saturday. There's a lot of things to cover today, so I'm just kind of chunking it out a little bit. On Saturday evening, if you are in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area, we're meeting at the Grapevine Collective at the New City Center. It's free to attend. It's about a 2.5 hour gathering to talk about the winter solstice, symbolism, meditate, do a little movement, have some cookies and tea together. So I hope to see you there. RSVP, it's free to come. Something that we do to give back a little bit and meet and have time together. So, all right, let's keep going. The other thing on my list here is the wisdom of the feminine, the ancestral, the familial. There are times where our ancestors speak to us, or we can hear their voices more loudly or clearly, for better or for worse. You will, in a cycle like this, perhaps notice that the wisdom of the way your parents raised you is not the way you've decided to raise your kids, and it's just really standing out this cycle. You may notice that there's gifts or blessings that are coming through psychically, literally, physically, financially, emotionally, from your ancestors, from your family, from your parents, from other people in your family. So the wisdom and blessings of the family are perhaps pronounced in a cycle like this. But also the wisdom of the feminine, of the great goddesses, of goddess culture, of priestesses, of the priestess way of knowing and doing. I want to say that even, you know, even for myself as a man, I benefit so as a Cancer man, I guess. Kind of like I have like a secret like card to the Society of Priestesses with a Cancer Sun and Mercury, maybe. I don't know. Certainly, my wife as a Cancer rising is a great example of this for me. Her motto, which I've shared before with you guys, that it's been an important part of her life, is tend to the living things first. Like whenever you're like, what do I do right now? Like, are the plants okay? Are the dogs okay? Are the kids okay? Am I okay? Is my body okay? Am I hungry? Am I snacky? Is my husband okay? These are the things that she tries to prioritize. She loves goddess culture, symbols, myths, her altars. These are the things she works with. And one of the clearest transmissions that she says she's ever gotten from the goddess as a way of life is tend to the living things, including herself, of course. It might be a month where there's a conversation about how tough you need to be, about how resilient and stick-to-itive. But look, all of these Kazimis and resets in Capricorn, opposite that Jupiter in Cancer, could really be like, how smart is it to get things done at the cost of your health, your well-being? So like visiting the healing waters and springs of the goddess, letting Capricorn, that Capricornian part of you, just release and take a rest, take the hiking boots off for a second and get a foot rub. You know what I mean? So let the wisdom of the priestesses and the goddesses and the healing rivers and waters, metaphorically speaking, speak to your soul, heal you, and help you redefine what it means to be productive. That is really giving the Jupiter part of this in Cancer through her retrograde, the revisionary guidance for our lives right now, and letting the Capricorn part reset to become deepened in its wisdom by the presence of the goddess. Number 4 would be asking for help versus resilience. This is a common Capricorn Cancer theme. Capricorn is so good at saying, I've got this. I'm going to keep rolling. I'm going to keep going. It's like a dog that won't let go of a stick. Just, this is my tug toy, like I'm just going to keep going. I'm look, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, all of that. But there's a remarkable moment in Capricornian evolution and development when asking for help becomes the most productive way to carry on and get shit done. Asking for help, in other words, it's a breakthrough when we conceptualize it as productive, healthy, and not at all contrary to, let's say, the goal orientation, the hard work ethic, or the drive of Capricorn. There are other times where we need to stop patting ourselves, stop being too precious. We can drop sometimes into a little bit of a woe is me mindset. And Capricorn really is the wisdom that says, look, if you want to care for yourself in the best possible way, this is the voice in my head. This is like the Capricorn. So I'm not, it doesn't necessarily need to sound like this in you, but in me, it's like, shut the fuck up, go to the gym, go do some hard shit, walk on the treadmill, run on the treadmill, lift some heavy weights, sweat, hit the sauna, stay in there for 5 minutes longer than you think you can, take a cold shower and come out. Look, there's far less lip going on inside of you after you do all that. there's far less complaining about your life. There's far less, you know what I mean? Sometimes you just need to take your dog for a damn walk and then it stops chewing and engaging in destructive behavior. Is it fun to take a walk in Minnesota when it's 5 below zero out? No, I don't even know if it's safe to take your dog out in that weather, honestly. But so I'm kidding. But the point is that sometimes the best wisdom that we actually need for the sake of nurturance, health, healing, softness, and gentleness is to take our dog for a walk, to do the thing, to exercise, to move, to get the thing done, to stop procrastinating. You're going to feel better if you just sit down and do that thing that you're dreading to do. But once you get it done, man, you're going to feel better. So sometimes the gentlest thing we can do for ourselves is sort of just sort of shut up, put your head down and do it. That's Capricorn's part of the wisdom. But the thing is that it doesn't have to be done in a way that's like, I don't know, harsh and cruel. It sounds stern, but when you just get in there and do it, it can be one of the most self-healing, self-caring things that you do. I really have learned this. I'm joking, of course, but I really have learned this about doing hard things, is that doing hard things doesn't mean you have to be a hard person. And there's a big difference. Discipline, if you do it long enough with care in your heart, becomes devotion. That's the deep secret I've learned about being a full moon Cancer Capricorn native is that the things that you do that are hard, maybe at an earlier stage in my life, I celebrated the hardness of because I thought it needed to be that way. Now, what I'm realizing is that, the hard things that you do over time, the more you infuse them with heart, it goes from discipline, a Cap thing, to devotion, which is the discipline cancerified, cancerianized. I don't know what the word is. Anyway, all right, church, let's go to an I Ching reading to close. I did an I Ching reading for us today on this new moon. So the hexagram was hexagram 41. Let me get to it. Okay, here we are. So this hexagram is sometimes called debilitation or decrease. This is Benabel Wen's translation. This was a hexagram that I drew for the new moon and just some wisdom for us. It doesn't mean it's the only way of thinking about it. It's just what the I Ching decided to speak to me this morning. The oracle, what goes stale will enter a state of rot. Growth and well-being require dedication. Eradicate what is decaying immediately before it spreads. Never let mold fester. When movement takes a natural course toward decline, it becomes more advantageous to take up movement toward advancement. The question to ask is, how might one achieve advancement in spite of the ongoing state of decrease or debilitation? A great upheaval is coming, but heaven will protect you. Walk the path of light. Honor the gods and ancestors with prayer, incense, offerings, and song. You will remain protected by the divine. Do not linger or dwell on matters that have come to their conclusion. Do not fault yourself for outcomes you couldn't control. Taking time for yourself in the mountains, at a lake, or by the sea will cleanse your heart, mind, and replenish what had been lost due to the woes of every day. At the base of the mountain, a lake. When there is distress, the sage will tame anger and desire. The Book of Rites outline 5 emotions that are powerful driving forces: joy, anger, sorrow, love, and hatred. Like the Wu Jing, they are agents of change. Love and hatred can both become desire. The uncultivated let the 5 emotions control them. The sage controls the 5 emotions. When there is tamed anger and desire, there will be gains and prosperity to harvest. In spite of the distress, a sacrifice made sincerely from the heart will bring good fortune. 2 baskets may be used for the sacrifice. Use great earnestness when imploring the divine for an intervention. When there is faith and trust, there will be enduring wealth and prosperity. You remain protected by the divine. Hexagram 41 can be a sign of one with an external aspect of the self that is visibly debilitated, but internally is strong and resilient in spirit. Thus, you are one of heaven's beloved ones. I love that. Such a beautiful, beautiful text. I'm going to read you a changing line in just a moment, but what I want to say initially about that is you can hear many of the echoes of what we were just talking about regarding the Cancer Capricorn axis. What goes stale will enter a state of rot. Growth and well-being require dedication. So this is speaking to dedication, devotion, and discipline that's needed so that something doesn't fall apart. It's like, in order to keep something going, to keep something up, to persist when things are debilitated or declining, we have to apply effort and dedication. Focused effort, hard work, dedication, sacrifice, it mentions sacrifice in multiple places, is needed so that something doesn't decline too badly or go into too much a state of disrepair. Now, Jupiter, a planet of great, tremendous abundance in its exaltation, is currently retrograde. All of these planets in Capricorn are currently resetting in their synodic cycles, Venus and Mars with the Sun. To me, the opposition between these two things could thus be saying, look, this is a cycle in which the wisdom is going to be about how to keep things going with dedication, effort, and focus when things are resetting or declining or even debilitated in some way. I love that there's something that says here, that even though something may look externally like it's falling apart, if you stay strong on the inside, dedicated on the inside, which is, again, I think it's that discipline turned to devotion. Stay dedicated, stay persevering, stay hardworking. If something feels like it's falling apart, it won't actually fall apart because there's a strength and a resilience on the inside. This feels like that kind of moment. All the Kazimis in Capricorn opposite a retrograde Jupiter in Cancer. It really does feel like an opportunity to, through effort and hard work, not let something fall apart. Yeah, I like that a lot. Okay, so there's a changing line. Let me go to, let me get there, sorry. All right, so the changing line is the fourth line. Debilitation of the debilitation. Recovery. Recovered, move swiftly to recover your happiness. Joys worth celebrating. Blameless. As a predictive oracular message, the fourth line prognosticates healing and full recovery after having sustained an illness or loss. As philosophy, the line is about self-correcting a character flaw, one that has been weakening us and preventing us from truly ascending to higher achievements. Thus, now is the time to self-correct. That way, we can more expediently achieve what we've undertaken. Implied herein is that one of the 5 driving forces of emotion has become imbalanced in our personality: joy, anger, sorrow, love, or hatred, noting that either love or hatred can become desire. Thus, the sage is being called to cultivate greater control over these emotions, especially the one of these 5 that is most debilitating at this time. You see how so much of that line, as the hexagram itself was saying, is about learning to harness and control and have greater maturity with a particular emotion. That is so Cap Cancer. That's so all of these planets in Cap resetting opposite the, the retrograde Jupiter in Cancer. It's like, this is a time to become wiser and more mature emotionally. How we control emotions without negating them. Attachment styles. We have to be attached, but we have to have a secure form of attachment. These are the kinds of real deep emotional lessons that are at the core of this cycle. So curbing, one of the ways that hexagram 41 can be read in general is about controlling and curbing negative emotions. And doing that without being hard, repressive, or overly strict, right? That would be, it's like, it's very much like the other day when I said my daughter was having some negative demonstrations of emotion, sort of resisting just being a big girl and going to sleep. But I had to look at it in a softer way. There, to set a boundary, demonstrate care, compassion. It's like, positive reinforcement is the wisdom that's going to help her far more than being cruel and stern, just because, some of her was being like immature and I want her to be more mature, right? There's a way of modeling that thing. I think frequently about Mr. Rogers. He's such a good example. He was such a good example of how to model like a mature, wise, reflective, self-sufficient attitude in such a gentle, caring way. So we're trying to strike that balance in the month ahead. Well, I hope that in talking around all of this, we're circumambulating a moon cycle that itself is a great circumambulation, So I hope that it's been useful. Like, the last thing that I want to tell you about is tomorrow night, I have a webinar. If you go to the events page on the website and you take a look at live events, you're going to see it right here. I'm giving a talk tomorrow night from 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern on the 11th house. This is a house that has to do with dreams, hopes, wishes, aspirations. Some of the best karma in our lives resides in the 11th house. Subjectively speaking, the stuff that we end up going, ooh, that felt good. That was good. So if you want to check out that webinar, it's tomorrow night. You can register. If you can't attend live with the webinar, you get the recording afterwards. So you can watch it on your own time, listen to it on your own time. Remember, we're trying to get to 2,043 backers on the channel by New Year's. We have like 2 weeks left. We need a lot of help to get there, guys. If you have donated already, thank you so much for your consideration. We really appreciate it. If you have not donated yet, please head over to the Kickstarter, support us. If something like this breakdown of the new moon cycle is valuable in your life, there's a lot of care that goes into creating this so that people have like astrology to accompany you through life. If it's meaningful to you, pitch in and support us. Find the link at the top of the comments or in the description of the video. After I sign off, I'm going to tell you about the different rewards that are available when you support the channel. There's a lot of good gifts you can pick up. So check that out. We'll see you again next time. Bye. Hey everyone, thanks for sticking around. I'm going to tell you about the different rewards that are available when you donate and support this year's Kickstarter. Remember, our goal is to get to 2,043 backers by New Year's Eve, and your contribution makes a huge difference. But when you do contribute, there are a variety of really cool gifts that we offer only once a year through the Kickstarter campaign. So I'm going to take you over to the Kickstarter and tell you about what those are. You can also find more information about almost all of the rewards on our website, nightlightastrology.com. Any of the programs that you might want to take, all of the details about those programs, their start dates are all located on the website in case that's a question. But at the top, you'll notice on the right-hand side, when you're scrolling down on the Kickstarter, you're going to see the different rewards that are available at different pledge levels. The basic pledge level is the Astrology of 2026 calendar. This is a really nice PDF calendar that we make that gives you a feel for what transits I'm going to be covering on the channel as the year goes on. It's also really nice to know what the transits of the year are day by day. So if that appeals to you, it's the most basic level of pledge, and you can get that. Scrolling down, you can also bundle any of these. So if you want multiple rewards, you can bundle them upon checkout. You'll see how that works when you're in there pledging. Scroll down a little bit. There's a new talk that I've made. This is a brief talk on the value of silence and having a silent or meditative practice in your life, how you might get one started. And again, just what I see as the value of that for astrologers. Scroll down a little bit more, you'll see the Astrology of 2026 audio and video. This is an exclusive lecture where I break down all of the major transits and astrological signatures for the year ahead. I'm not releasing this anywhere else, so if you want my insights for the entirety of 2026, this is a great reward to pick up. Scroll down a little bit more and you'll see that I have a guided meditation that I've created for your year ahead. This is more about spiritually, psychologically, emotionally focusing yourself for the year ahead. It's a special kind of guided meditation and visualization that I've created. So if that sounds appealing, you could pick that up. It's called The Oracle Within, a guided meditation. Scroll down a little bit more and you'll see that my new book, which I plan on starting at the latest by the summer of 2026, you can get in on that chapter by chapter first draft release in audio and text form. Just like The Oracle Speaks, my first book that I just finished, this is a new book that I'm starting in 2026. So if you wanted to hop in on the early release for that, you could do that there. Scroll down a little bit more and the description of that book and what it's all about is right there for you to check out. Year ahead horoscope readings. If you want to receive about 6 hours worth of content going through horoscopes for 2026 for all 12 rising signs, this is a great offering that's going to give you, again, about 6 hours worth of horoscopes for all 12 signs for the year ahead. I'm not releasing anywhere else, so check that out. Then you'll notice as you scroll down a variety of different archived masterclasses from previous years. There's one on the lunar nodes in ancient astrology. That's about 10 hours worth of content. The Magic and Mystery of the Fixed Stars, again, about 10 hours of content. Zen and the Art of Zodiacal Releasing, and The Alchemy of the Outer Planets. These are all lengthy master classes that I taught in previous years, about 10 hours of content per package. So a really great deal on some advanced content there. If you are brand spanking new to astrology, check out Astrology for Complete Beginners. This is a course that we have. It's about 10 to 12 hours worth of content that's meant for people who are brand new to astrology. This is like astrology level 0. So, but if that's you or someone you know who might benefit from just like a basic introduction to astrology, check out that audio video course. You get a website where it takes you through everything. You can watch it at your own pace and time. It's all recorded. The next offering is Ask 3 Horary Questions. You purchase this one and you get the ability to write to me anytime throughout 2026, 3 separate occasions to ask 3 separate horary questions, and I respond to those via email. That's a really great service. That saves you significantly off the course of horaries because you're bundling 3 together. So a really nice gift to use for yourself. Ask a couple of questions to me through horary form throughout the year. Scroll down and you'll see that I have only 30 of these. These are year ahead mini readings, very exclusive because I don't give readings anymore. I have students and staff taking clients through a special reading service. So my readings are very limited to classroom spaces, but I have 30 of these exclusive mini readings where I give you my take on your biggest transit for the year ahead in your birth chart. Those are personally recorded and sent to you. Then you'll see the 2025 Masterclass bundle, the 2024, and the 2023. These are, like upwards of 30 hours of content that are going to give you really deep exploration of a variety of topics. So those masterclass bundles are taking multiple series from previous years and bundling them together in one package. And you can see all the topics listed there: the 2025 bundle, the 2024 bundle, or the 2023 bundle. A really great way to package together a lot of intermediate to advanced level content that I've taught in the past. Then if you go down, the new 2026 masterclass series that I'm teaching is on the decans. So if you're interested in learning more about the decans and the upcoming 2026 masterclass, check this out. It's on sale right now through the Kickstarter. Won't be this cheap again. So a really good way to save on joining that program in 2026. If you have any questions about that program, you can find more information on the website through the page that's dedicated to the masterclass. Scroll down and you'll see we also have a new Nightlight Guild membership. This is ideal for people who are already enrolled in Nightlight or in the kind of Nightlight pipeline as students and are looking for more practice, more study at an intermediate to advanced level. We're meeting twice a month and doing live client readings, live horary workshops, a lot of practice with advanced concepts and techniques. So this is ideal for people who are really looking to continue developing within the Nightlight sphere. And so students in Nightlight, check this out. Come study with us. This also includes every monthly webinar that I teach on the year, plus twice monthly meetings that are 2 hours each for advanced practice. So really nice to have a guild membership. This is something I've been wanting to develop for a while. Check that out. Scroll down, you'll see both of my wife's herbal apprenticeships, year 1 and year 2. If you like Ashley and her work, her YouTube channel, we own the same LLC. So we just thought we'd throw in her herbal apprenticeships at a discounted rate if you want to join those. And then really our most popular item are the class passes. So you'll see at the very bottom, you can attend 1 Nightlight course, 2 in a bundle, 3 in a bundle, or 4 in a bundle. And what that allows you to do at a really significantly discounted rate, this is our best sale of the year. We only do it through the Kickstarter. In those class passes, you can bundle and take year 1, year 2, year 3 in Hellenistic natal astrology. You can take the horary class, or you can take any yearly master class. And those class passes are going to allow you to then bundle together our programs and go through as many as you want. You could bundle 2 of them together, 3 or 4, or just 1. And it's going to be the best sale that we have on our courses for the year. So those are the different rewards we offer. If you have any questions about any of them, feel free to email us, info@nightlightastrology.com. We deeply appreciate your support. And I hope that in exchange for donating and supporting this free content year round, that you will also find a valuable reward in one of these offerings. Remember that your donation supports a staff of people, myself, my family, the free production of all of this content year round. We deeply, deeply appreciate your contribution. All right. Hope you're having a great day. See you later. Bye.